All right, here we are at page 2 for lesson 2 from unit 1. Again, we're talking about the Dear Charles Moves In. When solving linear equations, there are rules of order to follow. When manipulating an equation to solve, the first step is resolving any parentheses by distributing, combining the resulting terms. And it's important to note that two steps taking place independently on each side. Okay, so the D and the C, the distribution and the combining like terms happens independently on each side of the equation as needed. Okay, so then when you get to the moves and the in, or the M and the I, the move and the isolate, this happens across the equal sign. Okay, so here's an example that has something of everything, so you can see it all at once. Example number 1 says solve, and we have clearly an equation with a distribution on each side. So they need to be completed independently. So let's distribute that. 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times negative 6 is a negative 24. And then plus 9 goes back. And then 3 times 1x is 3x. 3 times negative 7 is negative 21, and then you bring the 8x along. Okay, so once we've distributed, we need to check for combined like terms, for combined. Okay, so here I have a variable term and 2 constant terms, so we need to get these together first. So a negative 24 plus 9 is a negative 15. Use your calculator, please, if you need to. Over here, though, we have 2 variable terms and 1 constant term. So we need to combine the 2 variable terms. So this is 3x plus 8x is 11x. And then bring the negative 21 down. Now we're ready to move across the equal sign. So I'm choosing to move the constant negative 15 to the other side by adding its opposite to both sides. And then combining like terms on this side, you get a negative 6, and the 8x is on this side. So then I want to add a negative 11x to here, so I can move that to this side and get the x's together. So I like to do this vertically. I don't have a lot of room here, but let me try. If you have 8x minus 15 equals 11x minus 21. We're deciding to move the 11x this way and the negative 15 that way. So to move, we add their opposite. And if I do this vertically instead of horizontally, it might be easier to watch. That gets rid of this. Okay. And let's tell you what, since I don't have a lot of room, this is a negative 6 over here. Let's go ahead and move the 11x this way. Okay, so that gives you a negative 3x equals negative 6. So negative 3x equals negative 6. You isolate the x by dividing by the same. Whatever's in front of that x, you want to divide by. And whatever you're dividing by, you got to divide both sides. So a negative 6 divided by a negative 3 is a positive 2. All right, and we can check that. I like equations better than expressions because you can, whatever you decide, in this case it's a true statement, x does equal 2 because I'm going to put it back in everywhere there's an x. So up here, it's 2 times 2 minus 6. And you have to follow the PEMDAS now. Okay, for this side, 2 times 2 is 4, minus 6 is negative 2 times 4 plus 9 is going to equal the same thing as this side, equals the 1. So you will end up with this side equaling this side, as all equations must be balanced. And the only way that's going to work is if our x equals a positive 2. Okay? So let's try a few of these. a little simpler we're going to start off with. Notes up here, it says make sure that you don't use decimal answers. I've seen a lot of tests, they just decide to put a decimal answer down. That's just not going to get any credit. Okay, you need to you need to demonstrate your ability to use the order of operations for equations. Okay, so let's look at this one. I have a variable term, I have a constant term, I have a constant term. The constant terms that I have are on opposite sides of the equal sign. So I don't have anything to distribute. I don't have anything to combine. Remember, combine like term on the same side is referring to. So I'm ready to move something. And everyone should be moving their positive 4 over, well, the negative 4 by adding its opposite and do the same thing to the other side. So that leaves that. You're always trying to get rid of other terms that don't have your variable in them. You're trying to begin to get your x alone, right? So this is 14, and then to do the isolate step, you're going to divide by same. So there's a positive 7 in front, and this reduces to a 2. And you can put that back in. 7 times 2 minus 4 equals 10. So 14 minus 4 equals 10. Yes, it does. Okay. This one has a distribution. Remember, in front of this y is a 1 you don't see, so 3 times 1 is 3y. 3 times a negative 2 is negative 6, because we have to distribute first. Then we have a problem that looks a lot like this one, but we're not trying to memorize. We're trying to go by the order of operation. So I distributed. I have nothing to combine though after I distributed. That's all that's there. So variable term and 2 constants, I need to move this constant over here by adding its opposite. And this is 31 plus 6 negative, so we're subtracting 25. And then we have 3y equals negative 25. We want to isolate the y by dividing by the same. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other side. And it's not always a nice, pretty picture when you're done. I could put that back in, but that seems like a lot of trouble. But it does work. I'm also looking at my answered key, which I have double checked. So this one looks a little different, doesn't it? We have 2 variable terms and 1 constant term, and the 2 variable terms are already on the same side. So this is a combine like terms. That is a 1x. So 9x minus 1x is 8x equals 16. And I'm ready to isolate by dividing by the same. And that reduces to a 2. So I can check that one. So this is 9 times 2 minus 2 equals 16. 9 times 2 is 18 minus 2 equals 16. Yes, it does. Okay. Over here, let's see, we have a distribution. Remember, this is a 1 right here, so negative 6. That means, whoops, sorry, I'm not touching any of this. Okay. Remember, we're not allowed to add and subtract first. If there's a distribution, that must be distributed, and the sign in front of that number belongs to it. So negative 6 times 1 is a negative 6. Excuse me, a negative 6 times a positive 2. Oops, bring the W along. Is a minus 12. All right. Now, I need to combine like terms if possible, because I just distributed. Combine like terms. Yes, there's 3 terms on this side, which means that's possible. 2 constant terms need to be combined. That's a positive 10 minus 12 is a negative 2 minus 6w. Okay, now I'm ready to move. What am I moving? Well, I need to start getting this term alone, so I'm going to move the constant by adding its opposite. So this is a 22 divided by, oops, wait a minute, bring this down, getting ahead of myself, divided by negative 6, divide by same, so W equals a negative 22, 6. Oops, what I didn't do. These are both even. So even though it didn't say anything about reducing, please do. You can divide everything by a 2. You get a negative 11 over 3. And that should be your final answer.